Okay. Hello there. This is our 58th podcast episode. Spoon, always good to see you.
Yep.
Let me just
Hey.
play this. I'm getting our background music queued up. Oops. There we go. And we've got some game news, and we can talk a little bit about, Triangle Strategy reviews coming out. Game comes out tomorrow. Right? I'm correct? Okay.
Yep.
And other than that, yeah, we're just game news. Pokemon Gen 9 got announced when we thought it wouldn't get announced. So there's that.
Yeah. You can watch the playback on last week's podcast where we said we didn't think it would get announced.
We did not think it would get announced, and it got announced. That was and it's not just it got announced, it's coming out this year, which I think was even more shocking, at least for me. I was additionally surprised and we'll get to it when we see the trailer. I was additionally surprised that the actual game is going to look more like Arceus did with this open world feel. I was surprised. I didn't think they would jump all in on that like so quickly after Arceus. So I will say I was surprised. But anyway, Spoon, intro. As far as the YouTube goes, I personally have not posted the videos from last week yet. I'm super busy. I've mentioned it before, but this week was a really heavy week for me, not just for work, but for school. So I haven't had the opportunity to do it. I'm hoping that things will die down on the weekend where I can do that episode and this current one where they're recording right now. So yeah, that's my fault for being so busy.
Yeah, just let me know if you need me to help with some of that. Generally I don't do it because you handle it, but
yeah,
if you're ever swamped, just message me and I can handle some
this
of it.
recording. I'm gonna need you to do. That's what I'll say is I'm gonna need you to do this recording so I can really focus up on my work and school. Work has been like work increased right at the time school increased, which perfect timing.
Sucks.
So anyway, enough of that. The YouTube stuff's coming up. It's gonna go up this weekend for sure. For those of you that are being supportive and going and checking those out, we appreciate it. And I think as part of our intro, can we again just we did this kind of late last week, but can we just say again that our hearts and our hopes go out to the people of Ukraine right now who are really suffering. So
yep.
I hope
and they are fighting really hard against
an invader.
Yeah, an invader, exactly.
They're fighting hard. All the support to them, and I know there's a lot of different various like fundraisers going on, so be sure to keep an eye out for those and check those out and support if you can. It's a pretty scary time is what I think I would say. It's pretty scary.
Yep.
So hopefully things go out for the best, but right now it's been tough, really difficult. So Spoon, anything you wanted to add on before we move on to game news?
No, I mean, yeah, I just agree with you on that. And, obviously, countries are being trying to be diplomatic and not trying to intervene militarily because we don't want to see this escalate any further than it has right now. But, man, is Russia getting hammered by pretty much everyone, not only like politicians but like sports leagues and concert, all these different places are just like, yep, we're banning Russia.
Yeah, everyone is currently in Russia, the crisis for the people in the country is that everybody's swarming to ATMs to try and get their money out because the banks just are going to run out of money because they're no longer getting the same support, obviously, with all the sanctions. And their currency is tanking. Yeah. So everybody's like flocking to ATM machines trying to get anything they can, and like we are currently isolating Russia to the best of our ability. That is what I will say. Everybody is isolating them to the best of their ability, and it's going to have an impact. It just depends on if it leads to them just stopping, or if something else happens that's more severe, which we hope doesn't happen, obviously. Yep. So, okay. Game news? Game news?
Yep, let's do it.
Game news? Pokemon news? Now, I don't think I can play the audio on this, everybody. So you're just going to have to deal with the background music. This is the trailer for this new gen of Pokemon. This was during a Pokemon-related event this weekend. It was like I want to say it was a short event. It was like 15, 20 minutes. I really don't think it was that long.
Yeah, the full video was like between 10 and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it was like 12 or 13, something like that.
And this ended the video. So...
And to be honest, all but about a minute of this trailer is actually nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's this live action guard guy just like wandering around.
Oh, I'm 100% just skipping ahead. So there's this guy, he's wandering around, and here we go. This is the real meat of the video. Assuming we actually get to see it. There we go. And there it is in all its splendor. Gen 9 of Pokemon.
Oh, goodness.
I will say there's at least more stuff in the environment. There's more stuff to look at. Like, if we like go back a little bit, it looks more like an environment would look like in my thought. It doesn't necessarily look gorgeous, but there's more happening.
Those trees look like crap.
No, they do. No, they do. They do. I'm not arguing that they don't, but there's more activity, I think, which is...
Yeah, maybe.
I would much rather have this, even though it's not pretty, than have it just be barren. And just be like... So this is like something that I was looking at. But yeah, none of this is particularly exciting if you're really focused on graphics, which... I mean, look, okay. Oh my god. Can we go back? I'm sorry, we have to go back. Look at the windmill in the middle. Just watch it.
Yeah, no.
Papega. Oh my god. That was horrible. Animations are fine for the most part, it looks like.
Yeah, they're fine.
Oh, that's a really laggy screen right there. People moving, like...
The art style is a little different from both like Sword and Shield and Arceus.
Right.
I can't really describe it. It's just a little different. And I just don't know how I feel about it. I just think the game. I mean, I don't know. The game just looks equally as crappy as Arceus and Sword and Shield did, just in a slightly different art style.
I would say it's more like there's more here. But it doesn't look it doesn't look more prettier in some areas.
It's a little more colorful, I would say. Like Arceus, the colors are kind of washed out, to be honest, and I don't know why they did that. But yeah, this one's more colorful, that's for sure.
Much better in that regard. But this tree here and the fruit on it, I swear to God, those look like pumpkins. I think the pumpkins are on the ground, which it's hard to tell from this image because it looks connected.
Those look like pumpkins, and that's probably like an pumpkins. It's probably an orange tree or something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty sure pumpkins grow on the ground.
Pumpkins grow on the ground, which is why I was like, why are pumpkins on this tree? Like the character model here, I paused it. Not bad.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Not bad here when we actually like pause it and look, and they're
and I guess like Sword and Shield were similar. Like the character models and the Pokemon themselves look fine. They look pretty good actually. But the environment and kind of the rest of it, the textures are they're just not good.
So here's another look. Again, character model doesn't look bad. And I think it looks pretty good. This particular shot doesn't look horrible or anything like that. It looks fine in the house. And then you have the switch. There it is. Oh, okay. And then we have to go to our starters, okay? So I'm skipping ahead. Here's our starters. The big reveal of our starters. We have the grass kitty. I swear to God, I thought this was a dinosaur, but apparently it's a crocodile. Red crocodile. And Donald.
I could see dinosaur. I thought it was a crocodile, and that's what the consensus seems to be. But I mean, you could very well be right. Like, who knows what it's gonna evolve into?
I don't know. I hope it's a dino. I like dinosaurs. And then we have Donald Duck, of course. We have Donald.
We have Donald.
Is that hair? That's hair, right?
What?
That's the duck's hair? That's not a hat, is it? Is that a hat or hair?
I mean, most people are assuming it's a hat. It looks like actually looks like Donald's hat from Kingdom Hearts.
Right?
Like, that's why people were saying it's Donald, because people are like, get a picture of Donald from Kingdom Hearts and like, it looks like his freaking hat. Like,
okay. So, oh, hold on. I'm having milk tea and Kate wants some. But yeah, and then there's the grass cat, which, I mean, yeah, we know who's going to be fans of that. And then I'm a fan of the crocodile, the dino crocodile thing. I love this thing. It looks so cute. Yeah. And of course, Donald Duck is going to be a favorite. So I just wanted to be a dinosaur or such to have that like fire dragon possibility. This is definitely going to probably stick with grass for now, based on this. This is going to be a water flying type, right? I think we can safely say that Donald's going to be water flying. Like, there's no way it could be anything else. I mean,
you just never know. I mean, probably, but who knows? Sometimes they evolve into weird stuff.
I hope it gets muscular and it's water fighting. It's just like a muscular duck.
The duck? That would be so stupid.
I would love it. I'd love that. And then I'm hoping middle one's Fire Dragon. That's my hope. I don't think that would happen. That seems way too powerful for a starter to have that kind of typing. But, man, if it's firefighting, I'm out. I'm gonna
go. If they ever make another firefighting starter, I'm just gonna go crazy. I just can't take it. They've been really seeming to like the with the fire starter, like they'll do like firefighting, fire psychic, fire ghost. That was Typhlosion in Arceus is fire ghost.
Okay.
Or fire dark, because they had like Incineroar was fire dark.
Right, Incineroar was fire dark.
Well, all the ones in Sword and Shield were just pure their type.
Correct.
Pure fire, pure grass, pure water.
Right. So there's
Fire Dragon would be dope. I mean, Charizard, let's be honest, should have been Fire Dragon.
Should have been 100%
in the first game, but wasn't.
So no, 100% Charizard should have been.
But I could see like, I don't know. This is it's a croc, right? So when I think of crocs, I think crocodile from.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see like Fire Ground. That would be interesting. Like, I'm not sure it'd be good. It's super weak to water, but it would be interesting.
It would be interesting. That would be kind of interesting, at least as a starter. We haven't seen that for starters. And then we have the late 2022 window, which again probably means November, but
yeah, probably November.
But still, like, I'm surprised. That really is soon. And in respect to what we didn't even anticipate we'd see this, and to know that it's coming out at the end of this year is really surprising.
I mean, so yeah, they announced they were going to do that Pokemon Day, and you figured that they were going to announce at least one new game, and that game would probably be their major release for this year. They do one like major fall release of Pokemon every single year.
True.
Whether it be, sometimes it's, it's a new gen, it's maybe a remake, they had Let's Go one year,
or it's like a third iteration on the series, but Sword and Shield didn't do that. They did DLC.
Yeah, they haven't done that. Well, I guess they did Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Yes.
But yeah, they did DLC for Sword and Shield. Yeah, they haven't done an actual third version of a game since Platinum, I think. Like
Black and
White had
2.
Black and White 2. X and Y didn't have a third version or a sequel.
Nope.
Sun and Moon had Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which
wow.
I didn't play those. I don't know if those were sequels or if they were like a third version type thing. And then Sword and Shield had DLC, but they didn't have a new version. So yeah,
but Platinum is the last time we've had that. Wow, it's been a while.
So yeah, this is the mainline Pokemon release for this year. Yeah, I would have thought it would have been another spin-off like a Let's Go Johto, or I don't know what else. That it would have been something else, not mainline Pokemon, because Sword and Shield came out 3 years ago. 3 years seems, I mean, sometimes it's only 3 years between, but it's also been longer between the mainline releases. So
yeah, I mean, especially with the open world aspect. Like that's such a change from Sword and Shield. Yeah. So
I agree with you. I would have thought they would have seen what the reception was like to Arceus first before they committed to it for their mainline game. But we'll see it. We don't know what the mechanics look like at all. Is it just gonna be, because the wild area in Sword and Shield was kind of supposed to be like this, but I don't think it lived up to that.
Right.
So we'll see what they do. Will they actually meld the mechanics of Arceus and the mainline games, whereas like you could do a little bit more like free roaming and easier catching without actually battling like an Arceus, or will they make it so that you can still only battle one Pokemon at a time, and you can only catch things by weakening it and then throwing a Pokeball at it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the Arceus formula, I think, was actually a good formula for catching. I personally, even playing the Diamond and Pearl remakes here, I feel like the hurt the Pokemon then throw the Pokeball formula, it's kind of boring now. So something different was like refreshing.
We've been doing this for over 20 years.
Like I understand that it's part of the game, but maybe switching it up a little bit, doing it that way makes more sense for like wild Pokemon to just be like, okay, well, if you see it, maybe like a legendary, you do an actual scene
for sure.
But like a wild Pokemon, it's like I don't. Do I need this for my Starly?
If I'm going around catching Starlies and Bidoofs and Shinx, I don't need to single battle each one, weaken and throw I mean, the weaker Pokemon, a lot of times you don't even have to weaken it. You can just freaking throw a Pokeball and you catch it.
Yeah, you just got you. It's like whatever.
But to me, especially again for just random weaker Pokemon on routes, it makes way more sense to go the Arceus thing, where it's like, just let me sneak up on Pokemon and throw balls at them.
Right.
Like it's fine. I don't need to go into a battle with every single one.
The only issue is the EVs. So the EVs are typically done through battling Pokemon. I forgot if they changed that in Sword and Shield, where you don't battle Pokemon for EV training, you like do something else. Oh god, it's been too long, so I don't remember, but part of EV training was like just battling Pokemon that had certain EVs, and that's how you would do it. But I'm sure that formula's changed. I just don't remember.
I mean, there was always in Arceus, you can battle any wild Pokemon you want. You just throw your Pokemon at it and you initiate a battle. So if you want to EV train, you can still do that. But there's the option to not battle it and just throw a freaking Pokeball at it, or ignore it entirely and just get out of there.
It would be nice. I think the wild area definitely had some good stuff where you could see the Pokemon. Like that was nice. And like Let's Go series had the same thing, right? I think so, where you could just like see the wild Pokemon. Am I right? That needs to happen more. Playing the Diamond and Pearl remake has made me realize, wow, it's super annoying not seeing the Pokemon.
Yeah.
And you just random.
We don't want no more random encounters, please. We're done with random encounters.
Especially when you're trying to find a specific Pokemon in like a safari zone, and it's a hard one to catch. So you're like running around, wasting the whole safari zone period just trying to find this one Pokemon.
Or it's just rare to find, right? So you have to keep engaging in random encounters until you get that 5 or 10% chance it is for that one Pokemon to show up. Whereas it'd just be way easier to just run around the area and let the things respawn, and when you see what you want, you see what you want.
Exactly.
Right.
For me, that was Skorupi, the Dropion previous evolution.
Yeah.
It was Skorupi is actually really hard to catch in the Safari Zone. It took a while. Like it took a train ride basically just to get Skorupi on the team. But yeah, or it's probably Skorupi because Scorpion.
Skorupi.
Skorupi is probably makes more sense. Yeah. Anyway, so Spoon, we haven't seen enough to really say if the game is going to be great or not. Or we've only really seen visuals and the starters. That's about it. We haven't seen any other new Pokemon. We saw a lot of old Pokemon intentionally because they don't want to show any new ones. But what do you've played some Arceus? If this generation has a similar formula for that with more trainer battles, because I imagine that's going to happen, how do you feel about it? Like, what is your opinion?
I think I talked about it when I talked about my thoughts on Arceus. Arceus is all about the exploration and catching wild Pokemon and filling out the Pokedex in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And doing the research tasks and that kind of thing. But there's not a lot of battling. There's a little bit of it, but most of it's like, you'll have a story battle with a trainer, and it feels like to me, a lot of times it just feels like a level check. It's like, hey, are you high enough level for this like boss fight or this content you're about to go into? Have a trainer battle who has like a level 30 Pokemon. Oh, you're high enough level to beat that guy? Cool, you're good.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, the battles are, they're there and they have more battle mechanics, but the focus of the game is not on battles. They happen every so often, maybe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
a couple in each region. Like, again, I've cleared the 3rd region in Arceus, and yeah, there's maybe like 3 to 4 battles per region. So like maybe I've done around 10 battles or something in the game so far. Which isn't very much. Whereas the mainline games is focused on, train up your Pokemon and be the champion. It's all about battling, basically. Yeah. And as I mentioned in my Arceus thoughts, I would love to see a meld of the two. It's like, give me the Arceus open world and Pokemon catching mechanics, and the mainline like trainer battles and epic trainer battles and going through dungeons and having to battle through trainers. And I'd like to see them do something different than gyms, but it'll probably be gyms in the Elite Four again, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see something different. I would like to see the Team Rocket. Either the Team Rocket is the main focus of the game, and they're like, you actually are not just necessarily fighting gyms, but you're doing more of the, I guess you're more of like the crime fighter. You're trying to take down this organization. I would like to see that. I mean, like, we get that as a part of the game, but that's never really the main focus of the game. It's just sort of like the journey to becoming champion. But I would like it to be the focus of the game.
It's always secondary to the, becoming champion. It's like Team Rocket's just in the way, and you have to go through them. Or, it's not always Team Rocket, but whatever the team is.
And I would like your rival to not be your best friend anymore. Now, there's one game where that wasn't the case, and it was Silver and Gold. In Silver and Gold,
in Red and Blue, he's not your best friend. He's your rival.
Okay, he's your rival. He's not your best friend.
He's not a dick like he is in Gold and Silver. Your rival's like actually a criminal.
Your rival's a criminal.
He's a dick.
Which was like so much. In my opinion, it's just like so much better. It's like, oh yeah, he's a crook. Like, you want to beat him up.
He steals his first Pokemon.
You feel bad when in the Diamond Pearl remake again, you're fighting your rival and your guys are like 10 levels over him. I feel like I'm abusing the kid. And so I'm like, okay, let's none of that. Let's move that away, because I don't even like that. It's not a rival anymore.
I like Gen 4 Diamond Pearl Platinum, but I hate the rival in that game.
Rival's stupid.
He's so annoying.
He's so
I
dumb.
hate him so much.
He's dumb. But I want a rival that's actually a rival, like Gary Oak. Sure, that is a rival. Or is actually just like a crook, maybe within the organization, and he's like one of the first people to meet in the organization, and he loses, so he's got like a grudge against you because he's the new person, loses to you, and you've got a grudge because you're trying to take down the organization, and he's like, stop this other rival, he or she is stopping you at every point. That would be way more interesting as a rival than Barry. Then Barry's like, I'm very impatient. Let's fight, and so I can get my ass handed to me. And it's just like, Barry, you're not. You're boring.
Or Hop in Sword and Shield.
Oh, fucking Hop! Just get out. Oh, God, I'm tired of the nice guy rival. Let's bring back the old rivals who aren't nice. They're just like, yeah, I don't like you. Okay.
I mean, you could do a split thing where they did in more like in Black and White. You had Sharon and Bianca, who were both kind of your friends, but Sharon was a little more hardline, and Bianca was kind of the nice girl. But then you had N. Then you had N as well, who was
a part of the bad organization,
and he was a part of Team Plasma.
Right.
Like,
he was part of Team Plasma. He was like their savior or whatever. That was cool. I like that.
That game had 3 rivals. You had like 2 kind of friend, nice guy rivals, and then you had N. You
had the bad guy. Yeah. I would like that. I would like that. I'm tired of Hop. Okay? I'm tired of Hop. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I don't like Hop either.
Oh boy. Okay, we're hearing the triangle calls already.
Dodge. Yeah, I think we're gonna get to triangle at the end. We're gonna go through everything else first.
Oh, okay. I'll move this over here then. So you can wait. But I mean, I'm done with Pokemon currently. Spoon, do you have anything else to say?
The other thing I would like to see, which I don't think will happen because we've already seen a bunch of old Pokemon in the trailer, and I didn't really realize this until I watched a video on it this week.
Mhm.
But one thing that Black and White did really well is that it forced you to use the new Pokemon. You could not catch any of the old Pokemon in like the first go round of Black and White.
Mhm.
You had to use the new Pokemon from that region. And granted, that region had some of the most Pokemon, like new Pokemon of any generation, so that helped. And yeah, I just want to be forced to use the new Pokemon instead of like, oh, there's like, Eevee. I love Jolteon. Let's just use Jolteon. Or like, I always use it. Like, I don't want to use the same Pokemon over and over again. I want to kind of be forced to use the new ones, right?
Right.
So
usually in your first areas, you always get the bird or whatever, the bird of the new gem, whatever it is, Starly, and then you have the pheasant thing. Whatever that was called. You have the Pidgeys, right? You have the bird of the region now. Bird and bug. The bird and bug of the region. Can the bug be a badass though in this one? Can it be a badass bug?
You also get the your like normal type one, like your Rattata or your Zigzagoon or your Bidoof or that one as well.
Yeah, Bidoof was a crazy one because Bidoof is the best Pokemon, so it's crazy.
I hate Bidoof.
That thing is a god. Don't you slander. Can we get into the Caesar? Yes, Caesar was...
Another Caesar,
let's take a Caesar.
Or a Volcanroa from Black and White. I love that Pokemon. I don't think I ever used it, but I just love the design of it. The fire
was cool.
bug. I love that Pokemon.
Fire moth thing. Cool. Very cool thing. Yeah, can we have a Beedrill, but it's good? That's what I want. I want a good Beedrill. Yeah. How's that? Early in the game, so like you have an incentive to want to like level it up.
So yeah, I would like more of an incentive on whatever the new Pokemon is. The problem is in the more recent generation, they haven't really added enough new Pokemon for that to be a thing. It seemed like they're like,
Yeah, well, first off, we're probably going to get a Pokemon limitation again. I would just assume that we're going to get limited Pokemon again. You're not just going to get every Pokemon in existence in this game. Because they did that before where they limited it. So I'm going to assume that's going to happen again.
Yeah, and we'll probably get new versions of old Pokemon as well, like they've been doing.
We'll get I forgot what the region's called in this one. I don't know what the region's called in this one.
I don't think they told us the name of the region, but everyone's like, it's Spain.
It's like, Spain? Oh, yeah, Spain. Okay.
Saying it's Spain because maybe some of the visuals, but also the names of the Pokemon. The crocodile thing is called Fuecoco, and the cat is like it's like
Spaghetti
Catito or something like that. Like it's very like Spanish sounding.
Okay.
Yeah, people are probably Spain.
Spain, Italy, maybe.
Spain/Portugal is what people are guessing, like that peninsula there.
Okay. Good. That's cool. I like that they do. I like that they do this. I want more exotic regions though. God, I hate to be this guy, but wasn't the last one based on it was based on England, right? Like London?
It was the UK.
Yeah.
It was for sure the UK.
I have to say it. The UK is not a pretty place. Let's get a bit more festive regions than the UK. Let's get a bit more like Sun and Moon. It was Hawaii. It was great. Yeah. It's cool. It's Hawaii. Let's get something like areas that have a lot of variety and color. The UK just isn't that. I'm sorry. It's just not in London in particular.
It's way up north, right? It's like cold and it's
yeah. But anyway, okay. Any other stuff?
Nope. I'm good on Pokemon.
Okay. We're gonna probably hammer through this one quick. Amazon Luna, Amazon's version of a cloud service for gaming, is a Amazon Prime benefit now, which is really nice. In fact, it probably should have been that before, but they've roped them together. So if you want to if you have Amazon Prime and you want to play games through the cloud, it's now available to you. No extra price anymore. So I think it's cool. I've tried Luna. I thought it was fine. I do think that it's a nice add-on. I might even consider messing with it when I have more time on my hands, but it's cool. Like, I think it's cool that this is a roped in benefit with Prime. I think outside of Prime it's like $8 or something a month, so it's not like a huge commit. It might be more than that though now. But it's cool. I'm sure their library has grown a good amount since I tried their beta. So I know you haven't tried Luna, but if you have Prime, like, now you can just use it. So it's nice. Like, it's nice. It's like Twitch Prime giving you a free Twitch sub. It's like, okay, it's nice. Like, I'm not gonna complain about that. It's nice. Well, it says kinda in here, but I don't know what kinda is.
And what I read is it's going to be kind of like a rotating carousel of games.
Oh, that's still nice. I still think that's fine. I still think that is fine, depending on how big the carousel is.
It's better than nothing, obviously. Like, you know.
So, okay. I just think it's good. I don't even care if it's a carousel of like 10 to 20 games. I don't even care. It's a part of a Prime benefit now. It's like, okay, great.
Yeah, it's just that, and you know, they're increasing the cost of Prime, so
probably a reason for that. This might be one of the reasons.
I mean, I don't think they would have needed to add this, to be honest, but you know, they are increasing the cost of it this year, and it's nice that they're adding stuff to it too, instead of just like increasing the cost without adding anything.
Right. I agree with you. I agree. Okay. Massive anime library. Crunchyroll and Funimation are merging fusion style to become the largest library of weebness in the world. So, Spoon, I'm sure for yourself and other Crunchyroll subscribers, right? People who watch a lot of stuff on Crunchyroll, it's great. I'd argue that anime has become monopolized, but that's just me. And
yeah, but again, that has already happened. Like the merger happened like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
They just hadn't consolidated the services yet, so you still had to pay for both like Funimation and Crunchyroll.
True.
Now they're just slapping them together into one, and at least so far they're not increasing the price of it. I'm sure they will eventually, but right now Crunchyroll is remaining at whatever its price is.
Sure, but just a big library of stuff, and I mean, like, it's good. So, yeah. If in the prices have changed, it's great.
Yeah, in the short term, this is good for consumers. We'll see about the long term again. See if, like, since they have monopoly now, they just freaking jack up the price and make it ridiculous. Then maybe that'll happen, but we'll see.
I doubt it, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I was like, is there really anybody that challenges Crunchyroll right now? I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like a one-off, and like I know that other services like Hulu, Netflix, and all that do have some, but seriously, it's not even close to the same.
Yeah, no, it's just about a monopoly. It's just about a monopoly.
It's not even close. Yeah,
in the West, at least.
Yeah, that's for the West. Yeah,
English sub and dub.
Yep. So, okay, I have nothing to say. I don't use Crunchyroll.
Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly haven't been using it much lately either, but I just saw it and thought, okay, cool, whatever. Not exactly game news, to be honest, but close enough.
Yeah, so I mean, Sony owns both of them, so right? Sony owns, yeah.
I think so.
So okay. Back to game news. Evo won't have Smash because Nintendo said so.
Yeah. Nintendo said nope.
Nintendo says we're doing our own thing, so you don't get to have our game now. Which I just I think we talked about this.
It's Nintendo being Nintendo. The other reason that might be, and I didn't think about this, but again, I watched a video on this. I think it was yesterday. Maximilian dude who is a fighting game player and commentator.
Yeah, he's a big one.
Sure you've heard of him.
Yep.
He was talking about it. Is like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but we talked about it last year. Sony owns Evo now, and Nintendo could be like, yeah, we don't want Sony profiting off our games and our characters, so
True.
fuck off. No Smash at Evo.
No, that's true. That is true.
So could be a bit of that. Could be again a bit of just Nintendo being like, yeah, nah, it's fine. We don't we're gonna do our own thing with they partnered with, I don't remember the name of the company. They partnered with somebody else for a Smash esports scene or circuit or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I guess they just want to focus on that and spite Sony and just I mean, again, it's Nintendo being Nintendo.
Yeah.
We've talked about it many times in the past. They're not consumer friendly at all. They just don't care.
No.
They just don't care.
I mean, on one hand, as a business decision, there is some logic to saying Sony owns this now, and we don't want, like you said, we don't want Sony profiting.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, but Smash doesn't need exposure. That's the other thing too. Smash doesn't need exposure. It's already there. It's already extremely popular. And I think a circuit of its own is great if you put, if you invest in it. Nintendo doesn't invest in things like that, though.
No,
they don't. So I have zero faith in their ability to do it. Also, wouldn't that their own circuit would be LAN events, right? They would have to do LAN events. You can't do anything online related with that game.
I have no idea. I mean, you could try, but yeah, it sucks.
No, you can't. You can't. It's terrible. So you have to do LAN events, but again, that means that Nintendo has to invest in that, and that's a lot to invest in. I just don't think Nintendo will actually full-heartedly invest in it. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. I agree with you. Even Sakurai himself has said in the past that they don't really believe in Smash as a competitive game. They've kind of rolled over and said fine, if you want to play it competitively, but we don't really want anything to do with it.
But that's such a okay. It's a fighting game. It is inherently competitive.
Yeah, but they see it as it's Nintendo, it's family friendly. It's supposed to be just hey, fun for the whole family. Yeah, Smash.
What it's so. I understand that, but it's incredibly naive to think that. Oh, we don't.
I agree.
We don't want the game to be competitive. It's it's a fighting game. It has to be competitive in some sense. 100%. You can have fun with people. We get that. Of course, if you want to build the game like that, fine. But people are gonna make it competitive. There are other games that I'm this isn't maybe shouldn't be as competitive. Possibly, but they are. People will make things competitive because that's just what people want to, compete and push themselves. Smash is a competitive game, whether or not they want it to be casual. It's a fighting game. Fighting games are going to be competitive. To think otherwise or to hope otherwise you're just fooling yourself.
Yep. 100%.
I don't know, but I think this is more Nintendo just not wanting to be a part of a Sony thing. I'm gonna say yes on that.
Yeah, I think that's at least part of it, if not most of it.
So anyway.
So yeah, just Nintendo being Nintendo. You see one of these stories comes out and you just roll your eyes oh, Nintendo, not again. Here we go.
This is who they are. This is just who Nintendo is. They just Nintendo will only full-heartedly support very specific things, but even this, they're not going to support their own circuit for this seriously enough. I really don't think so. So anyway, moving on.
Yep.
Okay, this is a short one. I just wanted to put this on here. Guardians of the Galaxy, we talked about last week, is not performed well from a sales perspective. Is going to be on Game Pass.
Yep.
Which is awesome for those of you that have it. Outstanding game. Won awards for the narrative. If you have Game Pass, you should play it. Also, there's a couple of games leaving Game Pass. Nier Automata is leaving Game Pass. I didn't even see this on the bottom.
I mean, this does happen, by the way.
Mhm.
Games come and go from Game Pass
They
based
do.
on. I'm sure Microsoft signs deals and contracts with these companies for things to be on probably for a set period of time, and then once that expires, they
Right.
either re-up it or they just let it
go.
let it go.
No.
Like this same thing happens with Netflix, Hulu,
Yeah.
Prime Video, any of these streaming services. Like sometimes you don't notice it, and other times you're like, hey, I really liked that movie. That's sad that it's going
That's
away.
it's going away. Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, this is one of the downsides to some of these, these streaming platforms and streaming services. Like sometimes a game or a movie that you like is just like, yeah, they're just not re-upping whatever the deal they have for that is, so it's going away. You can't play that anymore.
Right.
But yeah, Guardians on Game Pass is cool. Hopefully, Square sign, they're recouping probably some of the losses that they had from that game.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately.
Signing this will give them some money back from that. I think it's a good idea. Like if the sales were poor, you got to find ways to get your money back, and this is one. Like it gets you a piece back, and it builds interest for the game.
Yep.
So it makes sense. I do think that makes sense. But yeah, Guardians, like, I want to play this game at some point, and it's great that it's on Game Pass. Like, it came out in October, right? So 5 months. Yeah, so 5 months. It's still recent enough where it's somewhat relevant to play it. It's not a year old or anything like that. There's still some relevance there. People are still like, there's still something there. So I think that's great. I definitely want to play this though. It looks everything I've heard so far has been positive on it, so I'm happy. Any other thoughts, Spoon?
Nope, I think that's about it.
Okay. NIS America reveals a new logo ahead of 20th anniversary. So for its 20th anniversary, it took all the color out of its logo. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I'll say this. Most of the logo redesigns I've seen recently that have turned logos a little more simplistic, I haven't liked very much.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I still think I like the old one better, but I don't mind the new one. I think it's okay. Like,
can you explain what NIS is before we go any further? Thank you.
NIS is a JRPG publisher. NIS America published the Falcom games Trails and Ys. They publish like Disgaea as well. They've published Disgaea. A lot of smaller and more niche JRPG series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are a mostly JRPG publisher.
Just looking to see, and then 20th anniversary next year. It says next year. It says December 24th, 2023.
Yeah, that's still like a year and a half away.
Yeah, that's still pretty far away, but
yeah,
they're getting ready for it. So
yep. Again, this is not a major piece of news. The other thing that kind of goes along with this is they released a new trailer and the official release date for us Trails fans for Trails from Zero, which is the first game in the Crossbell arc, which again is like it's not a remake, but the Crossbell games are old, but we haven't gotten them officially translated and ported to the West here, and they're doing that.
Okay.
So that game's coming out in September 27th, I think it was.
Mm.
So, yeah. Again, I know most people here don't care, but that is one of the games they publish. So, yep.
Okay.
That's kind of it for that.
Okay, now we can get to Triangle Strategy. So
we can talk about Triangle Strategy.
Triangle Strategy comes out tomorrow. It's had a demo out already for the Switch. Two demos. But the most recent demo is the most relevant one, which will let you play 3 chapters, and you can take the progress that you've had in the demo and you can move it over to the full release of the game if you wish. I don't think it's required. You can just start over if you want.
Yeah.
So, game is getting reviews in. I mean, 81, 83. It's a good review. I mean, I don't think we can argue that is like poor by any stretch.
No, that's a good score.
The general thoughts, I haven't looked through them, but I'm gonna guess that the general thoughts are like, it's a very slow game. That's all I'm gonna guess. It's a very slow game, and maybe there's something else to do with, like, I guess, like the story. I don't know. That's what I think the complaints would be. Because it's like, I mean, unless that the actual battle situations, they're not very good. Like, I mean, 81 into 83 is like,
yeah,
good enough to say like, okay, there's probably some legitimate but not serious complaints.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I've looked at a number of the reviews. I've watched a bunch of the video reviews today. And yeah, the general consensus is that it's quite a good game. I've seen a lot of reviews that are giving it 9 and 9.5. I haven't seen any 10s, but that's kind of, I mean, it's hard to get a 10, let's be real.
Yeah.
Who are kind of praising everything about the game. You know, the story is excellent. They like the choices, branching paths. There's 4 different endings apparently. There's a new game plus mode.
Okay.
And the combat is good. Yeah, the most common and major complaint that you'll see is that the game is very slow paced. There is a lot of dialogue, and not as much gameplay. It's especially in the early. It's a slow burn, especially at the start.
Yeah.
Which I mentioned when I talked about it when I played the demo. It took me 4.5 hours to get through 3 chapters.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of the game. It's just the prologue. Like, nothing's happening. They're just introducing characters and they're setting up.
Yeah.
Like, one of the chapters is literally like, it's a mock battle. Like, it's just like a tournament. It's like, hey, we're just having like a celebration and let's just have like a tournament. Like, we're having a tournament. So, yeah. So yeah, the beginning is very slow. And I mentioned that, and I figured that would probably be the most common complaint about this game. What I don't like in some of these reviews.
Okay.
Well, one in particular.
Okay.
GameSpot did and it says in the review in progress. Fair, fine. Review in progress. He didn't have time to finish the game. The problem is he put a score on it, and it's here listed on OpenCritic. On Metacritic, they actually discounted the score and they said it's review in progress, so they didn't count the score.
Okay.
But he gave it a 7.
Okay.
He said he played 16 hours, which by all accounts for me is about half of a single playthrough of this game. Most people are saying 30 to 35 hours for a single playthrough of this game. You are meant to play this game multiple times because it has 4 different endings, and a lot of seemingly all of the paths you are going to be playing completely different battles depending on which path you take.
Sure.
So a lot of the content in the game is just in replayability, basically, and seeing the different maps and the different routes that you can take.
Yeah, sure.
So a single player playthrough is not gonna show you everything this game has to offer. I did hear I think a few reviews say it took them like 50 hours to complete one playthrough. It seems a little excessive, but
I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe they had a tough time. Maybe they did a lot of extra stuff. You don't know.
Yeah. But from what I've heard, it's seeming like 30 to 35 hours is, kind of what you're looking at. But yeah, so this guy played 16 hours, and in the text of the review, it said he played like 8 to 10 main story battles.
Okay.
The first demo showcased chapters 6 and 7 of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember that demo, that is the inciting incident of the story, where shit goes down, as they say.
Yeah.
He has played 3 chapters past that, and his biggest complaint was the game is slow. most of what you played is the beginning. It's the slow part. You didn't play the game. Also, this is a story and narrative-driven base game. In my opinion, if you are playing a narrative-driven game, you need to finish the game to give it a score.
Okay, keep going. I have to do something. There's a bit of an emergency here. Hold
up. That was kind of the end of my rant. But yeah, I think you should have to finish the game to give it a score in a story-based game. The story is kind of the main draw of this game, with the choices system and the branching paths and the characters, and it has a very Game of Thrones-esque political intrigue type thing going on with the story if you've played the demo. So the story is the main draw of this game. And again, this reviewer, again, credit where credit is due, they said it's a review in progress, but they also did put a score on it at the bottom. And in some of these aggregate sites, like OpenCritic here, they're taking that score into account. In my opinion, that's not fair. He didn't finish the game. And for some games, maybe that's reasonable. Generally, I don't agree with it. But in a story-based game, no. You need to see the full breadth of the story and the ending to truly judge what the game is about. So, yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
Okay, here's my assessment based on not hearing the last 2 minutes of your. You were still talking about the GameSpot review, right? Can I assume that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna reassess here. He or she played.
I'm sure it was a he, but yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't know. So 16 hours, got through 10 chapters or 11?
He said 8 in the text of the review. It said 8 to 10. So
how does he not know the chapters?
Yeah, shrug. I don't know.
How does he not know? Okay, like that is sus. That's already sus right there. It's like, how do you not know which chapter you left off on? It would be easy to know. Like, I feel like that would take 2 seconds to clarify in the article. Okay, that's sus right there. I'm gonna say that's sus. Like, if you can't even say the exact chapter you're on, that's sus. I don't care. It's sus.
Again, from information we've gotten, the game is around 20 chapters long. I don't know if that's probably not exactly 20, but somewhere in that range.
So it's assumedly not even halfway through the game, maybe exactly halfway.
Around halfway through the game,
okay.
Maybe a little less.
So, and the inciting incident is a third of the way in the game?
Yeah, it's like chapter 6. It's chapter 6.
That's usually how you would want your game paced, though. Like, you kind of want your game to be paced in a way where it's like, okay, a third of the way through the game, you get like this event, like this major event that carries the rest of the game, right? Like a third of the way through your game, like that's actually, like, to me, that would be a dream to play a 30 to 40 hour game, and about 10 hours into it, you get this event. You get this like major event that like pushes you the next 15 to 20 hours through. That's like great, I think. So to say that that's slow, my sense is this person plays short games, like really short. Because like I don't know, like to me, like if I had that in a game, I feel like that's good for a 35 to 40 hour game to have the first major like incident like that happen a third of the way through it. That would be great. I'm not sure I agree with their assessment there of it being slow. Like, that seems odd. Like, games like this are not Dead Space. You don't just step into the ship and immediately have to kill or run from zombies. It's not how this works. This is not that game. Yeah. So you can't expect it to be that. You can't. This isn't Skyrim. You aren't just fighting a dragon in the first instance of the game. That like basically is your objective. Is we got to kill the dragon that came back, or all of them that come back. This isn't that. This is a different. It's differently styled in a way that it's like, okay, you got to get the first sequences. You got to figure out what the world is. You got to figure out who's in the party, who are the characters, who are the major players, and then about 10 hours into the game, once you figured all that out and you know, gotten that background really like cemented, you just go from there. And then that's your inciting incident. Yeah. I just like, I'm a bit confused as to why the person reviewing thought that was slow. And I'm also confused as to why they couldn't even say the chapter they're on. Like, wouldn't you think that was suspect? That would be incredibly suspect if I was playing, you know,
I mean,
if I'm playing, look, for me, it's a little bit different because I have a hard time remembering names, but like, I know where I'm at in Tales right now. I don't know the name of the city I'm about to go to, but I've gone through Cislodia. I went through the next region, which is where oh god, I can't pronounce Dohalim. Thank you. That was the Dohalim arc, and I forgot the name of the city. But I know I've been past there, so that's the third city. So I'm about to get to the fourth city. I forgot the name of it. But like, I can tell you I'm near the fourth city.
Yeah,
I can tell you that.
The fourth region's called Mahagsar.
Mahagsar, yeah. No.
The city is Mahagsar is
the
fourth region.
Yep, that's. I can tell you I'm near the fourth area though, like the fourth region, fourth city, whatever. I can tell you I'm there. There's nothing suspect about it. I just don't remember the name. But like, I know where I was. It's like silly. I wouldn't just like, oh, I'm in between the second and fourth area. Then you'd be like, okay, well, which one?
Especially in a game like Triangle Strategy, where like the chapters are clearly marked. It's like, this is chapter 1, this, chapter 2, this, chapter 3, this, chapter 8, this.
It's just stupid.
Like boot up the game, hit load game, and it'll tell you on your save file which chapter you're on.
Let him. Yeah. So it's weird. Like, I'm gonna call that sus, because there's no possible way you wouldn't know. That's like in Fire Emblem going like, yeah, I'm somewhere between the months of November and March. Like, no, you know, because it says, like, there's a freaking calendar in the game. Like, you could look at it, and you could also say which chapter you're on, because they show the chapter at the very beginning of each one. It's a little weird. Like, you could literally probably just press the start button and figure that out. So,
again, the other part that like you missed when you were gone.
Okay.
What bugs me more than that is that this is a story-based game. The main selling point of this game was the story and the decisions that you make throughout the story.
Right.
He's only halfway through the game, so I'm gonna assume that he hasn't encountered some of the most impactful and most powerful choices that happen in this game.
Probably not.
Which I'm sure they save for the end.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's fair to put a score on this game. Not an official score. If you want to write in the text, like, hey, right now I think I'd give it about a 7. That's where I'm at. But subject to change. But they put a score at the bottom of the review that says 7, pros, cons, whatever.
Yeah, let me see. I assume it's in here. Yeah. The story gets off to an extremely slow start with tons of expository dialogue. Predetermined job classes and weapons feel inflexible. Okay, that's a Fire Emblem complaint. Level grinding using mock battles gets repetitive. Okay.
I mean, these are all like legitimate complaints. I'm not going to say his complaints aren't legitimate.
Yeah.
Again, I played the prologue demo. I played the first 3 chapters. It took me 4.5 hours to beat 3 chapters. That's pretty slow. And again, not much is happening in those chapters. They are introducing you to the characters, they are introducing you to the world and the conflicts that are happening in this world, and the 3 nations and the characters that represent all of those nations. That's all they're doing in the first 3 chapters.
Yeah.
And there are 3 battles, and the battles are not particularly long in the first 3 chapters. So yeah, in the first 3 chapters, out of that 4.5 hours, maybe I spent an hour to an hour and a half of it in combat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's strategy RPG combat, so it's more slow paced. The battles take longer than, another type of game.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but again, for me, I just don't think it's fair for him to put an official score on it. It's a review in progress. This is a story based game. For a game like this, I think you need to finish the game before you put a score on it. That's just kind of my thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think he shouldn't. If you're not, I feel like if he was about 3/4 of the way through the game, assuming there wasn't a major reveal after that, which I mean, there probably is one. I think it'd be more comfortable to give a review, but you're not even halfway through, and you're giving it a score like that's like your on the record score. Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird to say the least. I mean, that being said, I think the main reason we're talking about it is because he gave it a 7. If you had given it a 9, it wouldn't have mattered as much.
I mean, a 7. I mean, a 7 isn't a bad score by any means, but
but yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
whatever. The person, whoever they are, Steve gave his thoughts on halfway through playthrough of the game on the record for OpenCritic. There you go. Hopefully that'll get updated when he's actually done, good or bad. Maybe it gets worse, maybe it gets better. But yeah, the reviews in progress just shouldn't be scored at all, in my opinion. I think they should just, if there's any sort of progress to be made, still just don't score it.
Yeah,
finish it up.
I agree. Like, I think it's fine to write a review in progress. And again, if you want to write somewhere in the text of your review that, like, hey, I think I'd give this about a 7 right now, but don't put that blurb at the end that's like, GameSpot 7 out of 10, like that, because it's just not fair, in my opinion. It affects, it's misrepresentative because some people like use reviews to decide if they're on the fence about games. They'll use reviews to decide whether they're going to buy it or not.
Right.
And maybe some person really likes GameSpot and really trusts GameSpot, and they use their reviews to decide whether they're going to buy a game or not. And they saw this person's review and they're like, I don't know. So they are possibly negatively affecting the sales of the game, but they're not giving a representative review of the entire game. They've only played half of it. So I just don't think it's fair, personally.
I mean, it's not. You don't put it on the record score if you're still in progress on it, especially when you're halfway through. Like, Metacritic actually just discounted it. They're like, no, it doesn't count.
You put it in like the review in progress category. It just didn't go in the score. Like, it didn't count towards the score.
I see. And OpenCritic doesn't do that.
I guess not.
Okay. Well, OpenCritic doesn't do that. So there you go. So, I mean, yeah, you probably shouldn't score it anyway, but I mean, he did. But yeah, it is weird to have somebody go on the record as a reviewer, okay? As a reviewer, like if I come out and just say, like, I played halfway through a game, yeah, I don't like it. Well, I'm not a reviewer. That doesn't go on the record on a website like this that people are going to use because you are a credible source, you would think, to give reviews. So, like, that matters more than me saying, okay, well, this game sucks. That's more. Yeah. It matters more, like, frankly.
And again, there are probably people who this review is actually good for them because maybe they were thinking about buying the game and they see the person say, like, hey, the beginning's really slow, and maybe they don't like that, or maybe they played the first 3 chapters in the demo. They're like, yeah, this is just too slow for me. This isn't for me.
Right.
And I mean, to be quite honest, I expected around this range of score, like 80, like low 80s, maybe 85 tops for this game, because this game is not going to be for everybody. I said that already. This game is slow paced.
Yep.
Even like if you play the prologue demo, I've said it multiple times. It took me 4.5 hours to beat the first 3 chapters, and there's really not a lot. There is a lot of dialogue, and there is not a lot happening. They are just introducing all of the characters and setting up the world. That is all they're doing. So there's some people who may just, they're just not into the slow pace and they just get bored, and maybe they like the gameplay, the strategy, but they're not willing to sit through the story. I mean, in that case, you could just skip the story, but I think you would be doing a disservice to this game if you skip the story. So,
no, you just wouldn't. It's like skipping the Xenoblade cutscenes. Like, yeah. Okay, well, you're missing a lot of context. So, as much as I wanted to skip some of those cutscenes, it's context.
Again, to me, in a game like this that is so heavily story-driven, it's like reading a book halfway through and giving your review of that book.
That's actually kind of true. It's like reading, yeah.
Or it's like, I went to a movie and I want to review the movie, but I fell asleep for all the parts except for the action scenes. And you give your review of the movie.
Well, I mean, like, okay, if I read a book halfway through and it was like a 300-page book, I probably have a good idea of, okay, maybe I should just put this down, you know?
Yeah, sure.
But in a movie, the same thing. Like, I think I've actually walked out of a movie once. I don't know if
I walked out of a movie once too.
Yeah.
Just once.
It was just like, at some point, okay, this isn't for me. I gotta go.
Yeah, this is bad.
True.
Yeah.
But like, I also don't like immediately go as a credible source, like a critic. Like, critics, even for movies, watch the movie. They have to sit there. It's 2 hours, so it's not as much of a commitment. But they got to sit through the movie and they watch it and then they review it. They don't just watch an hour of it and go, yeah, it sucks, and then just stop. It's not how it works.
Yeah. Again, to be fair, he didn't say it sucks. It's a 7 out of 10. Like, it's a solid.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Again, that's my problem. You can play half of the game and give your impressions. That's what a review in progress is. It's, I've played half of the game. Here are my impressions. But you should not be putting a score on it because you didn't finish the game.
Right. Well, the assumption is that'll get updated. That's the assumption.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get updated, it's like, yeah, I just left this. Then you're just like, okay, well, you can't just leave it. You gotta do it. You gotta keep, unless it was so bad you can't stand it. But I mean, like, it didn't seem that way to this person. So
no, it wasn't that way. He's like, hey, there's definitely something here. This is solid. They just didn't like the slow pace and some of the lack of customization that's in the game, which again might be fair. The customization is really limited. From what I saw, the promotion trees there's no branching classes like in Fire Emblem. Like, right. Every character they have 2 like single promotions. Basically, they have a second class and a third class, and that's it. And you can't equip new weapons or armor. You have one weapon that you have materials you can upgrade. It's an upgrade tree, so you can decide what you want first, like before other things, but it's somewhat limited. And then every character has 2 accessory slots that you can equip like accessories in. Okay. But the customization is a little limited, but also this isn't like, I saw an interesting review that said, like, the thing about this game is that, like, there are like 2 styles of doing this type of game. There's the RPG style and there's the tactics style. The tactics style is much more constrained, and it's like, hey, you have these characters and these classes, and this is what they do.
This is what you have to work with.
You have to work with. Figure out how to best use your team of characters. And from what I've seen in this game, you can have like 20 to 30 characters in your party by like the mid game and in the end game. So you get quite a few options.
That's your flexibility. You just have tons of people to use.
Yeah, and then there's the RPG style, which is like Fire Emblem, which is like you could customize these fuckers however the hell you want them. Like,
yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot you can do.
And Final Fantasy Tactics as well, where like you can just class change and like do all this crazy stuff. This game isn't that. Like, again, the video that I'm referencing said that they thought this game had a kind of a good blend of both. There was constraints on the particular classes, but there was some customization here and there. I think it's more on the strategy/tactics side where, yeah, the classes are a little bit constrained and they all kind of do what they do well, and you figure out what is best for the situation and stuff like that. So, but there's a little bit of customization.
Yeah, part of the challenge, if you want to call it that, part of the game is all these characters have particular skills, and those don't necessarily change that much. Let's say they don't change that much, because like in Fire Emblem, you can literally just like change somebody from an armored character to a thief if things line up properly. But this game is limited because it's saying, okay, here's your group of 10 for this combat. Let's say you have 10. You can only bring 5. Pick the 5 that you think are best for this map. That's what you get. That's all you get. That's the tactics. In Fire Emblem, you can just do whatever you want. But
I mean, to me also it helps to sort of delineate each character's like their personality and their skill set. Like Benedict, the old guy in the glasses that you can see in this, he is the tactician. He is the strategist of the party. What he does is he does buffs. Like, he stands in the back and he buffs people. He gives you like defense buffs and attack buffs, and I think later he can give TP to people and stuff like that. Like, he's a support character. What would, like, it wouldn't make sense if you could turn that guy into a sword fighter and just like I mean, he has a sword and I think it's like a cane or something. I mean, you could go in there and whack things with him, but he doesn't do that much damage. Like,
that's not what he does.
He's a tactician. Like, it'd be kind of weird to me in this game if, again, you could just turn this guy into like a big armored frontline fighter. It's like, that's just not this guy. Like, he's a strategist. He sits in the back and he helps like command and buff the army up, basically. Like,
that's not his strength, and this isn't Fire Emblem, so you gotta deal with, like, this is what you got. Use it to the best of your ability, given that this guy does this, this, and this. You can't just change that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because it's part of the game.
Just a different design philosophy.
It's a different take. Yeah.
Than Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem.
Specifically, I don't think there's anything wrong with, because you're just like, okay, well, I've got these pieces and I have to make do with them. Like, I don't have every piece on the board, and I can't just change, a bishop to a queen whenever I feel like it. I have a board, I have a chessboard, and I have all these pieces. That's it. I can't make my knight a bishop, though. I can't just do that. In Fire Emblem, you could do that. But this game's like, no, you get a bishop. Do what you can with this bishop. Here's your rook. Do that. It's that. It's a chess game. This isn't, it's a chess game. So, nothing wrong with that. You just got to know that it's a chess game going in. Some of these people didn't know that. They came in thinking, oh, Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Or Final Fantasy Tactics.
A lot of people I've seen, like, hey, they wanted this to be basically Final Fantasy. Like, people love the original Final Fantasy Tactics, and they wanted this to be the new Final Fantasy Tactics. And, like, yeah. But it's not exactly, like, it takes some of the ideas from it's a strategy RPG. It has some of the same mechanics, but, it's new. It's a new twist. They wanted to do some new things. So
they wanted chess. It's okay. Like, if you want chess, it's fine. You want chess. Some people don't want chess. They want something completely different, or like even just slightly different. That's fine.
But like, chess is a really good analogy because you have all these pieces on the board, but they all do different things, and they're all good at different things.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like, it's a chess game, and there are people that want to play chess in a different visual, style. To me, it seems like that, and that's great for some people. Maybe not for everybody. But for some people, but some of these reviewers wanted Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem, because that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of Fire Emblem, for this. That's the popular brand. It's not that. And people are like, wait, I can't just like change my class on the fly. It's like, no, you can't just change from your pawn into a king all of a sudden. It's not how the game works. I feel like some of the reviews, you just sit down with and go, this isn't chess. This is chess. This isn't something else that you imagine it like, where you can just swap things out. I don't know a good game for that one that's like a board game, but
I can't think of a good board game.
I can't think of that, but
to be honest.
But like, that's it. It's like, look, if you expected this to be anything different from that chessboard style, I'm sorry, but this is chess. So, I know you were expecting something different, but this is a chess game, so maybe talk about why you like it as a chess game. Yeah, that's always another thing about reviews that it's like, even we have this where it's like, oh, well, I got Triangle Strategy and I played this, and I expected it to be like Fire Emblem, but it's not, so I don't like that. It's like, okay, that was your expectation and you don't like that, but is that a you problem, or is that the game's problem? Sometimes.
Yeah.
To me,
I also,
this feels more like a you problem. Sometimes it is a game problem. It's like, okay, well, no, it should work like this, and because it doesn't work like that, it's like poor quality. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but like, here's an example. If you go play Resident Evil 4, it's like, it's good, but then if you go play Dead Space and then try and play Resident Evil 4, you're like, man, the mechanics of Dead Space are way nicer in regards to actual gunplay. It's just like, it's way better. But I don't think it's necessarily Resident Evil's fault that it's not as good as like something like Dead Space. Resident Evil, the sort of like rooted gunplay also adds a bit to like the tension. So like, does that make the game bad? Not really. It's just a different way of doing it to increase tension. Dead Space
came out.
Yeah, it came out before
6-7 years before
True.
Dead Space. So.
But if I played Resident Evil 4 and I said, "Oh, I expected Dead Space, so I don't like this game now," it's like, well, even just removing the fact that the game before, it's like, oh, I mean, is that a mechanical issue? Sure, but in the style of that game, it kind of increases the tension to not be able to move around while you're like shooting your gun. There's like more tension, more tactics in how you're placing yourself in relation to the enemy. I don't think that's really necessarily a bad thing in that game. So that's where I think it becomes like, oh, that's a little bit of you. Like you're not seeing the other elements that make the game what it is and what adds to its value. And I think like the problem is people are going to see this and go, oh, I'm using Fire Emblem because that's what I know well. Like, oh, I expected like a Fire Emblem customization system. It's like, yeah, but this game is different than that. It's not supposed to be that.
This game isn't Fire Emblem.
Like, if you expected that, I can understand why you might have. But if it's that, is that really a problem from the game's perspective, or is that your problem because you expected that and didn't get that, and now it's the game's fault?
That it's not.
That's not the game's fault. If it was an actual serious mechanical issue, then there's a complaint there. But this is just a different style than what you are used to or what you're expecting. That's not the game's fault, necessarily. The context in this case is that's not the game's fault. I really do think that some reviewers are at fault here for they keep saying like, oh, I expected Fire Emblem. It's like, okay, but that's not the game's fault.
I've also heard some people, not everybody. I've heard this in both. Like, this game does not have permadeath. If your characters go down in combat, it doesn't matter. They're back the next fight. Like, they keep any of the experience that they had earned during the fight, like up to the point that they went down.
Okay, but they can't get any more after they go down. So
no, obviously they go down. They're out. If they go down, they're out of the fight.
Yeah, they're unconscious.
The end of the fight.
Yeah.
But I heard a positive spin on that where like it's good because it means that you can, it helps level up your weak. Like if you get to a point in the game and you recruit a new character who's below the level of your party, you can just send them in, and like if they go down, it doesn't matter. They just keep the experience that they used and they level up, and it's fine. Sure. And I heard someone say like, well, it kind of hurts the difficulty of the game because like it doesn't matter if anybody goes down, you can just bum rush, and like it doesn't matter if people go down.
Also
it's
true.
Like, so they would have preferred that permadeath existed in this game. But I think in this game permadeath wouldn't work because the main characters at least, are so intrinsically tied into the story of this game. With the choices system, like the way it works is each of the main party members have a coin, and they can put their coin in any of the slots in the scales, and you have to convince them of which one you want to do.
Okay, sure.
And all of those characters' like personalities and decisions weigh into the decision and why they want to do what they want to do, and how you can convince them to go to your side.
Right.
It's about like getting to know the characters and what the most persuasive argument will be to persuade that character to go your way if you're trying to persuade them. So I think permadeath would have been awful in this game based on the story.
Permadeath wouldn't have made sense because let's take Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is permadeath. Like, do we really need Leona for every part or Leone for every part of the story? No, you don't actually. It probably is nice to have Leone's perspective, but Leone is not the crucial character in Fire Emblem that has to be in every scene or something like that. In this game, maybe not every single character, but like there's probably like a core set of characters that
there's a core
carry
of like
the story.
There's a core of 6 or 7. 4 of them are again in this image. Serenoa, the main character, Roland, Frederica, and Benedict. Those are 4 of the main characters in the game. Like,
so let's assume the core is like 6 or 7. That's like you said. That's a lot of characters that need to be there. If you turn permadeath on, it just doesn't work, because if you lose a core character, I guess your like workaround is okay, you just can't use them anymore, but they're still alive. But that doesn't make sense. So there's like, you can't just have your character that's like in your narrative die unless your narrative is built around that, which is, for a game like this when there's so many core characters, oh my god, I'm sure that would have been like, that would just wouldn't have worked out the same way. It would have been a nightmare, I'm sure. As opposed to, again, like, look, if Marianne from Golden Deer went down, okay, well, nothing really changed outside the fact that Marianne went down and we just can't get her perspective anymore.
Yeah, and you can't get her side stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's okay, but like, that doesn't stop the story from happening.
There are certain characters in Fire Emblem who are not allowed to die.
Correct.
Again, Three Houses is an example. Byleth, your main character. If Byleth ever dies, game over.
Byleth can die, and
the main lord of your house.
Yes, correct.
Edelgard, Dimitri, or Claude. If they ever go down, game over. You have to turn wheel. You have to, whatever it's called, Divine Pulse.
Yes.
Or game over.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's like 2 characters for each house, like total, where you could either Byleth and Claude, Byleth Edelgard, Byleth Dimitri. There's like 2 core characters that need to be there. Much easier to say, yeah, we can do permadeath, than like 8. Like the whole house is integral to the story, so permadeath is on. It's like, okay, well, if the whole house is required, that makes the game just like it makes no sense for the game. I also don't think that removing the element of permadeath necessarily correlates with more challenge all the time. That doesn't mean that this game is going to be not hard. What?
Yeah,
okay.
I've heard most people say that like normal difficulty, especially later on, is actually pretty challenging. Like that this game isn't and hard is fucking brutal, basically.
Permadeath just means that, oh, my one character that I had like super souped up, I'm gonna save scum to make sure that person stays alive. But like in this case, like, okay, but you know, this game could still be hard. Like the challenges in the game, maybe outside of the character's need, or like maybe the objective isn't to clear out all the enemy forces. Like that doesn't mean that the other objectives aren't going to be easy, because and also like if you have too many characters go down in a freaking mission, like that mission is probably going to be hard to complete anyway. So I don't know. I'm not sure I buy that argument. It's just like, okay, what?
You could also have some like epic tense moments where like, man, you're having a real hard time with this mission, you know, you have one character left who's like, you know, and there's like 1 or 2 enemies left on like, you know, low health, and it's like down to the last man type thing. It's like, damn,
yeah,
like kind of epic finish to a mission, right? Where it's like, I lost my entire squad, but we did it, man. We won in the end. Like,
you're also just not save scumming because permadeath is a thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing with permadeath. Like, I like the idea of it in concept, but most of the time it just turns out that like if any of the characters that I am using and that I like die, I just restart because I don't want them to die. Like,
I mean, Fire Emblem figured that out too. Like, Divine Pulse is literally the answer to that in some context. Besides just being able to reset for harder difficulties, like, okay, you gotta do like a very specific ordering. But I don't know. I'm also not buying that permadeath is like, oh, by turning permadeath off, the game is now easier. Like, no, not true. That's just not true. I don't know if I buy that. So I wanted to also be clear on that part too. Like, okay, permadeath isn't a thing in this. Now it's easy. What are you talking about? I'm not sure I get that. So anyway, well,
yeah, I mean, overall, again, the reviews are very positive. There's a lot of really high scores in here, like 9s and 9.5s, where people are like, yeah, this game's incredible. Like, I love the story, I love the characters, the choices are impactful and amazing. Most of them have the complaint of like, yeah, like it's kind of a slow game. There's a lot of dialogue, especially the beginning. Like, there's not a lot happening, and it's just a lot of talking and not a lot of gameplay. I mean, legitimate complaint. Fine, I don't disagree with it. There was one person gave it a 5, and they just seemed like they didn't like anything about it. They were just like, yeah, they're like, the story's boring, the characters are boring, I hate the world. The gameplay's okay, but you know, whatever.
Somebody said dull political lore. Wow, this is went in on that one. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean the story is a lot of like political intrigue. It's very like Game of Thronesy in like the world building and the political intrigue that goes on in the story in this game.
Mhm.
But again, yeah, I mean the dude just didn't like it. It's fine, like whatever. It's your opinion. Like I don't know. Like reviews are opinion, right? In part, at least. Like you try to be objective about some things, but other things are just like, yeah, this game, wasn't for me. And I kind of had a feeling that was going to be the case with this game. This game was not going to have the wide appeal that something like Elden Ring did, which came out last week and got insane reviews. I knew this game wasn't going to be that. Again, I expected a meta in the round 80, low 80s, something like that. Because this game it doesn't have the wide appeal. One, it's a JRPG, which is already niche, and it's a strategy game, which is even more niche. So, and after playing the demo, I was like, yeah, this game's really slow too. Which again, JRPGs kind of tend to be slow, and same with strategy games. But this one is like exceptionally slow, because like Fire Emblem has a lot of talking and a lot of dialogue, but not like this. Like,
no, it's not. Like, no, Fire Emblem's not like. It's not as heavy as it obviously could be. Fire Emblem's like a little bit faster, of a game, to be honest with you. Like things happen pretty frequently enough where you're not getting like large portions of the game where you're like, ugh, there's so much to listen to and look at and read. Fire Emblem's pretty fast in respect to that. Three Houses is more just running around talking to people when you're not in battle. But I don't know. I haven't played the demo of this yet, but the second demo. But I mean, like, if it's slow, it's slow. That's just how it is. They want to tell a story, so
yeah, they want to tell the story. And again, if you're comparing this to the other game that this team made, which was Octopath Traveler, this game is way slower than Octopath Traveler. Octopath Traveler, I mean, it had stories and they were interesting, the individual character stories, but most of that game is gameplay. It's, running around and doing combat.
Yeah.
That's a more traditional RPG.
Yep.
Yeah, this game is... But listening to the story and understanding the story and the characters is going to be important in the gameplay. Again, some of the times when you're like walking around talking to random people, you can get pieces of lore from NPCs that help unlock dialogue options in the cutscenes. So like learning the lore and the story and the characters is actually going to be somewhat important for the gameplay in terms of like the choices and your dialogue options and being able to convince your party members to go with the choice that you want to go with on some of the decision sections. So yeah, this game, as I said, is not for everybody. It's going to be slow paced. It's story focused. It's a strategy game. If that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, then I don't recommend this game to you, unfortunately. I would love to, because this game looks awesome to me, but not everybody has the same taste that I do. So
no, there's definitely going to be people that are just not going to be willing to sit down for long periods of time to digest that when there's other things that are like faster, or like Elden Ring or things like that. It's just like, well, or I could run around Elden Ring and explore that, and there's lots happening frequently in that game. Like, do I really want to sit and basically watch a movie?
Yeah.
Or would I rather do that? I can understand the sort of wanting, the desire to want something a little bit faster. So, yeah, if you want to watch movies and also do some battles, this might be for you. You can watch a bunch of movies in the game while also fighting here and there. But this is like Xenoblade. Xenoblade is there's a lot of short movies in between your chapters. So you just have to be willing to go, okay, I finished a chapter, time to watch a short movie with a bunch of smaller movies in the middle of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't I honestly don't know how you're gonna feel about this game because you can get like burned out on games that are super
I do. I get so
slow paced.
I do get burned out on movies and games. My thought is always, if I want to watch a movie, I just go watch a movie, and I feel more comfortable with popcorn and soda.
Doesn't take 60 hours like Xenoblade does. Like,
Xenoblade. My biggest problem with Xenoblade was just like there were too many cutscenes. That was my biggest problem with it. It's like, okay,
and it's really long and not a lot happens at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I do think that I'm gonna move to our other way. I think there's like a limit, and I think the problem with Xenoblade for me was Xenoblade was like, did you want a cutscene? And I'm like, not really. I've already seen 2 already. We're gonna add a 3rd one on top of it. It's like, why don't you just make this one big ass cutscene? Well, it is, but it's like, here's one cutscene, stop. Here's another one, stop. Here's another one. And you're just like, okay, did we really need to see that like 5-minute perspective that had pretty much zero meaning to the story? We just get to see this like 5 minutes of them goofing around in this cutscene for no reason. It's not even like a character development cutscene. They're just like, okay, I get it. Do we need me to spend 30 minutes here though? In between chapters watching this. It just felt like that. Probably not 30 minutes, but like really some of them were long. There's a limit to how much I can stand cutscenes in a row when I know that there are games that have 1-minute cutscenes that accomplish more than a 20-minute cutscene. And I'm just like, okay, I don't need to see all this garbage. I don't need to see somebody walk down the stairs for 2 minutes. I don't need to see that. It's just like, you know better. It doesn't accomplish anything to watch somebody go down the stairs. Like I've watched people in 1-minute cutscenes deliver more information to me than walking down the stairs cutscenes. I've never understood the thought there. KH stair cutscene. Why did that exist? In Xenoblade I obviously can't remember off the top of my head all of them, but Xenoblade had a few where I was just like, okay, can we just move on? Can we just move along, please?
Oh yeah, Xenoblade 2 has like between 10 and 15 hours of cutscenes.
Yeah, and I was like, you didn't need this much. Like, there's like important conversation cutscenes matter. Got it. But that doesn't mean if you need 20 minutes for that's probably a problem. That might be a problem. If you really need 20 minutes there, it just feels like a problem to do that. I have a hard time imagining that. Tales is a little bit better. Tales is a lot of skits, but Tales to me, the cutscenes usually are not long enough, but they deliver enough information where I find it like the ones that I find relevant are there for a reason. But Xenoblade for me was too much. That's probably the worst cutscene levels for me. Especially from somebody that just plays a lot of shorter games, or games that just don't have cutscenes.
For me, I think Kingdom Hearts might be worse than Xenoblade.
Oh, it's so bad. Oh yeah, that's so bad.
Because Kingdom Hearts, to me, like most of their cutscenes serve almost no purpose whatsoever. They're just like there. And
yeah.
Like I just don't know. Like Xenoblade, at least they're like developing characters and actually doing stuff most of the time. They do waste some time in cutscenes. I'm not gonna say they don't.
Sure.
But Kingdom Hearts has a hell of a lot of pointless cutscenes.
Yeah, of course they do. Kingdom Hearts' biggest problem is their mini games. Kingdom Hearts was infatuated with their mini games to the point where you're just like, yeah, but they suck. So why should I care? Like, it's one thing if the mini game's good, but you can't tell me that Kingdom Hearts Mario Kart was a mini game you wanted to play. I swear to God,
Kingdom Hearts was shit.
Kingdom Hearts had that problem to me. The cutscenes, yeah, but I could skip some of those cutscenes and not feel like I lost anything, which is great. But oh god, the Kingdom Hearts minigames were the reason why I just hated it. Especially, I'm just gonna say it, especially the Olaf one. There's no point. There's no point to that. There's no point to it. It doesn't add anything to the game to have to put them back together. I don't get that one too. Like, if you're gonna give me a mini game, make it matter. Give me a reason to do it. Make it like a story based, like where I get to like character development on a character that I care about. I could give two shits about Olaf. Why did I need that minigame to put him back together? It was more fun not putting him back together correctly and just looking at how stupid he looked.
Yeah.
So that was Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is its own thing, though. Kingdom Hearts is its own thing. Yeah. It's got a lot of other great, appeal to it, but it's not the minigames.
As I said, that's why I'm like, I really don't know how you're gonna feel about Triangle Strategy.
I might hate it. Who knows?
You're gonna play the demo and maybe see how you feel about the beginning of the game.
But, I might hate it. I'm never gonna discount that as an option. I may hate it. Who knows? I may actually like it though. I may enjoy playing the game on the train for a bit and
sure,
soaking that in. There's no telling. Am I gonna sit down on the couch playing this? Probably not. But if I'm on a train and I got my headphones in, or maybe after all my schoolwork and stuff is settled down, yeah, I'm sure I can want to sit down and play for at least a couple hours. That's maybe a chapter, something like that. I don't remember, a chapter or something, but I don't know. But it's just a question of okay, is it going to be interesting enough for me to want to just go to the next chapter? That'll be the big one for me. My biggest issue with Xenoblade was as soon as I got past a certain point, I stopped for all those months because I was oh god, I just can't do it anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. There's nothing keeping me here every single day being addicted to this. So unless I get addicted to it, it'd be more likely if I started playing it, I'd probably stop playing it halfway through for a few months and then go back.
Yep.
I'd be okay. There's exceptions to that. Even Mass Effect, I stepped away from Mass Effect for a long time, and I like that game, and I know what's going to happen, but
the only game recently that I've seen that was pretty long that I saw you get through without a significant stop was Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah, that game was short enough too. I think if that game was too much longer, it would have been more difficult, but I don't know. Yeah, the combat in that game was really good for me. That was the one thing I liked about that game that really made me want to keep playing it. I really liked the combat in that game. I think more than it maybe deserved. But I was man, I like this combat way too much for me to stop. It was kind of a surprise for me how much I liked the combat. I think it was partly because I thought it was unique in certain ways. Being able to do all the combinations with the characters' abilities and just stacking them together. I thought that was the reason why I stuck with that one for so long. By comparison to something like at the time, Tales. Tales I stopped. Partly because other things happened, but also I don't think I got as enamored with the combat as other people did. But that's probably a reason why.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you seem to think the combat in Tales is kind of only okay. It's good enough, but not great.
It is. Yeah. I don't mean to say it's bad. I just think it's
no. I know you're not saying it's bad, but you're saying it's not anything special. It's it's Tales combat. It's a little different, but it's not special.
Yeah, it's still it's still fun. It's Tales. It's still fun. My biggest gripes with Tales are I think the AI is horrible, and I think the fact that you can't adjust their tactics well enough is a problem. It made me yearn for Dragon Age tactics. There still isn't a game that has that level of tactics, and it's a shame too because oh my god, the depth of what you can do with your characters in that game just oh my god.
I don't think we'll ever get that again.
No, we won't. That was crazy how much depth that got to. It's is it a boss enemy? Is the enemy below 25 health? Just the different stackable tactics you could add on was insane. And being able to tell characters if you have 50%, if you've taken, as soon as you're at 25% health or lower threshold, immediately do this ability. And being able to put them in an order of priority. Oh my god.
Tales' system was it's like that, but it doesn't work well, and it just didn't have as many options.
It just doesn't work well.
And there wasn't again, there wasn't my biggest problem with the tactics menu in that game. It literally just needed a command that was like, if health under whatever this threshold, evade or
Just evade.
get away,
Yeah, just evade.
or something like that. But the AI just likes to eat shit, so you know.
So, anyway, well, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think that I'll probably never see a tactics menu like that, but I wish there. I think Tails needed it. Something not even like to that depth, but like, if you're hurt, evade. So, anyway,
I'm excited for Triangle Strategy. I'm gonna play it. I'm thinking about doing some streaming of it. I'm not gonna guarantee it again because maybe I just won't feel like it. But
yeah, sure.
Maybe I'll stream it a little bit. What I'm actually thinking about doing is I keep playing what I'm playing, what I played with the demo and my main file off stream, and maybe I'll do like a second file.
Yeah, why not?
Like for on stream.
There's no obligations in that case too. Like you can just play like a couple hours on stream, and then when you're off stream, just play your main one, and you could still get through it. That's like probably the best approach, because then you could be like, okay, well, if I don't stream the whole game, whatever. But like if people want to see and like we can chat and things like that, like whatever. I think that's totally fine. Like
if I had a bigger audience and people were interested, I think it would be really cool to do a playthrough of that game where like Twitch chat decides the choices that I make.
Yeah,
but
that would be great. Actually,
I don't think we have a big enough audience to really do that, unfortunately. But I think that would be a really cool idea for this game. Like all the choices, it's like, all right, Twitch chat, tell me what you want to do.
No, I think it is indicative to that. It is like to have a group decision making system for that game. I think it lends to that really well. So yeah. So just I wanted to say that before we go too much further, I have to wrap things up pretty soon because I've got some things I need to take care of for the dogs, taking care of dogs. But Triangle Strategy comes out tomorrow. Obviously, you can decide if you want to stream it or not. I don't think there's really anybody, putting a gun to your head and telling you do it or else.
Nope.
So I would say just like if you feel like it, I'll play the demo when I have time this weekend outside of like schoolwork, just because I won't have to do my other work. I might have like some time to play the demo, and then I'll decide if I want to purchase it. I mean, like I feel comfortable with that. Like as much as I think the game could be really like cool to play for me, I'm also just thinking about, okay, well, if the demo is really slow and I really don't like where things are heading for the actual like dialogue and that, like, would it be worth buying now? It's never going to go on discount, but I would expect it to come out on Steam at some point, much like Octopath or other systems.
Probably at least a year, though.
So that's something too to think about. It's like, okay, well, if I wait a year, am I missing out? Am I going to miss out on that? Probably, depends. So anyway, but I think the game is like, it's cool. Like I think it's cool in the fact that we don't get as many of these, I want to say mainstream, as in like we get some of these, obviously you're going to see them on Steam, and other stuff is like more small projects. Yeah. But this is a bigger project. So it's seeing more like this is like, it's good. Get some diversity.
Yeah. Honestly, at least as far as I can think of, the last strategy game like this, that like big release that I can think of that came out was Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Correct.
Like I can't think of another one, and that game came out in 2019.
Right. So it's nice. Like people who follow this kind of genre, they get their little piece here and there.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. I think playing the demo and then seeing if your feeling is the right choice for you, because I honestly don't know if you'll like it, because as I said, the beginning's really slow, and you could just like be like, yeah, this is just too slow. I don't know.
Honestly, I'll never know until the demo is played. Never will know. I may just fall in love with it. I've played weirder things that I'm like, wow, I really love this, and everybody's like, really? I've had those experiences.
No,
so.
I mean I mean, you know me. I liked Scarlet Nexus, but I didn't like it nearly as much as you do.
I adored that game for some reason. Beyond just like there were way too many things about that game I adored. But yeah. Anyway, I hate to cut it short, but I do need to cut it short today.
That's fine.
So I think just in conclusion, keep an eye out for the YouTube stuff this weekend, and if you do end up streaming at Spoon, send me a note, send me a message when you think you're going to do it, because I would love to at least like watch, I think is what I would like to do. So let me know if you do, and we'll I'll at least be hanging out, even if it's not in voice. Like I'll hang out and watch. But any other thoughts to close, Spoon, before I have to head out and calm the dogs down because they keep barking, I guess?
No, yeah. I mean, I think we talked quite a bit about Triangle Strategy. I'm excited to check it out. Look out for streams, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more next week, because I'm sure I will have played quite a bit by next Thursday, and I'll have some more concrete thoughts on it. I doubt I will have finished it, but I'll probably have made some decent progress.
I'd be surprised if you did, actually. Like, I know it's not as long as some other games, but that's still like a commitment.
30 hours
over
in a week is a lot.
Yeah, it's a commitment over a week.
I mean, it's not like I haven't done that before, but I don't know if
you're
do that right now.
Yeah,
like
no, I understand. But anyway, let's close things out here. Thanks everybody for watching, and please be sure to keep supporting us and keep an eye out for Spoon if he decides to stream or not. Or we'll see you guys next Thursday. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Well, have a good night.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you guys soon.